The Bob TV Network presents, broadcasting live from the greatest city in the world, New York City. It's the Bobby Brown Show. And now here's your host, Bobby Brown.
Well, good day. This is another episode of the Bobby Brown Show. I'm your host, Bobby Bob TV Brown. How you doing today? Today we're going to talk about the bigot, the murderer, and the panderer. The bigot, the murderer, and the panderer. Before we get into that, for those who donated to the Super Chat last time I was up, I want to let you know that I really appreciate you. I have a first-time person up here, Ronald Goldman, who donated to the efforts of Bob TV. And I just want to let you know that I appreciate that, brother. And I thank anybody else that decides to donate to the channel. Every little bit helps. But, you know, I don't make it a real big thing. One thing that I learned not to do is to focus on finding ways to make money. I believe that money should be attracted to you. I believe that you should develop a skill set, and that gift will make room for you. And you know, because I don't want a money chase. I did that back in the day. I don't want a money chase at all. So two things: I don't want to worry about money. I don't want to worry about putting too much time and effort in trying to build something. I believe you build a house and the people will come. I'm just building. I'm not going to worry about whether people come, whether people go, whether people give or don't give. I ain't doing that. By the way, let me pull this screenshot off. This is the new studio setup. I don't know why there's some latency behind this, but this is the new studio setup. I wanted to get my own setup. Much as I love the green screen, making it look like the Tonight Show, I just can't really perfect the green screen like I used to. So this setup is a little bit better. Now, again, I don't know why I got this latency thing going on, but it is what it is, and I don't know what to do about it. So I'm gonna periodically pop back in and pop back out, if you don't mind, because I don't want to let this whole entire thing look like a freaking Chinese kung fu movie. So periodically I will be putting this back down. But let me bring this back up again. And this is our topic for today: the bigot, the murderer, and the panderer. So we're going to talk about Tucker Carlson. We're going to talk about Derek Chauvin. And we're going to talk about Nancy Pelosi. But first, let's go into the verdict of Derek Chauvin. Now, I must put this up here. Each segment is in good faith. This work contains fair use of copyrighted and non-copyrighted images from the public domain and the web for non-commercial, non-profit educational purposes. This work is distributed free of charge. This is not, I don't do members pages. You know, if you want to become a member, fine, but this stuff ain't going, this goes up free for everybody to see. The author, that's me, has never monetized this work nor sought any profit from this distribution, which I don't. Copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act of 1976. Allowance is made for fair use for the purpose such as criticism. I'm about to be a critic. I'm about to criticize some folks up here. Comment. I'm going to give you my 2 cents about it. You make up your own mind, put it in the chat. I'm going to be doing some news reporting. I may do some teaching. Scholarship and research. Fair use is a use permitted by the copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing, but nonprofit and educational or personal use tips the balance in favor of fair use. This work contains original work of commentary and critical analysts. Quotations are attributed to the original authors and the sources. So we're going to come off that, and we're going to get right into the story today. So the trial is over with. Derek Chauvin has been convicted. Let's take a look at that.
They will appear in the permanent records of the 4th Judicial District. State of Minnesota, County of Hennepin, District Court, 4th Judicial District. State of Minnesota Plaintiff versus Derek Michael Chauvin, Defendant. Verdict, Count 1. Court file number 27, CR 20-12646. We, the jury, in the above entitled matter as to Count 1, unintentional second-degree murder while committing a felony, find the defendant guilty. This verdict agreed to this 20th day of April 2021 at 1:44 p.m. Signed, juror foreperson, juror number 19. Same caption, verdict, Count 2. We, the jury, in the above entitled matter as to Count 2, third-degree murder, perpetrating an eminently dangerous act, find the defendant guilty. This verdict agreed to this 20th day of April 2021 at 1:45 p.m. Signed by jury foreperson, juror number 19. Same caption, verdict, Count 3. We, the jury, in the above entitled matter as to Count 3, second-degree manslaughter, culpable negligence, creating an unreasonable risk, find the defendant guilty. This verdict agreed to this 20th day of April 2021 at 1:45 p.m. Jury foreperson 019. Members of the jury, I'm now going to ask you individually if these are your true and correct verdicts. Please respond yes or no. Juror number 2, are these your true and correct verdicts?
Yes.
Juror number 9, are these your true and correct verdicts?
Yes.
Juror number 19, are these your true and correct verdicts?
Yes.
Juror number 27, are these your true and correct verdicts?
Yes.
Juror number 44, are these your true and correct verdicts?
Yes.
Juror number 52, are these your true and correct verdicts?
Yes.
Juror number 55, are these your true and correct verdicts?
Yes.
Juror number 79, are these your true and correct verdicts?
Yes.
Juror number 85, are these your true and correct verdicts?
Yes.
Juror number 89, are these your true and correct verdicts?
Yes.
Juror number 91, are these your true and correct verdicts?
Yes.
Juror number 92, are these your true and correct verdicts?
Yes.
Are these your verdicts, so say you one, so say you all?
Yes.
Members of the jury, I find that the verdicts as read reflect the will of the jury and will be filed accordingly. I have to thank you on behalf of the people of the state of Minnesota for not only jury service, but heavy-duty jury service. What I'm going to ask you to do now is to follow the deputy back into the usual room, and I will join you in a few minutes to answer questions and to advise you further. So, all rise for the jury.
Now, as you hear, the crowd outside and probably all over the nation were celebrating outside. I found no reason to celebrate for some reason. I really didn't. Let's go over the verdict again. And let's really deal with this because my people, stop falling for temporary satisfaction. This is a marathon. Ain't a sprint. This has not put any fear into the hearts and mind of race soldiers, racist police that's on a power trip, may not be racist, but just love power. No matter what color it is, just some people just jacked up. People who are high on authority, think they're a super cop, Think they Roscoe P. Coltrane? This does nothing for them. This is not changing the laws concerning police and police overreach and police brutality and police death by the hands of the police. Where's the other guys that was down there? What did they get? Nothing. They said they allowed that man to do that. They didn't stop him. They allowed him. We talking about Asian hate. What happened to the Asian brother that was standing up front trying to make sure nobody don't stop him from killing this guy? Whatever happened to him? Oh, you're yelling and screaming. And understand is, I'm going to talk about Benjamin Crump in another video, because all he is a money hog. His whole purpose is not for true change in police overreach. I'm not even going to talk about the freaking crime bill, because crime bill allow all this stuff to happen. And y'all voted the person who created the crime bill into office. And was celebrating at that. I ain't celebrating neither one of those two bigots. And y'all out there dancing in the street because you got a temporary victory. Still not going to stop the cops from cracking you upside the head and possibly killing you. Matter of fact, they may even double down. Because you got cops, number one, that's sick in the mind, that shouldn't be cops in the first place. You got cops that's too fearful and paranoid. And you know, it's a stressful job. Don't get me wrong. I was married to one. It's a stressful job. You're on alert and you got to control your perimeters. And sometimes you take that mess back home and try to police the household like that. And that's why it causes problems. That's why divorce among police departments and police officers on all-time high. Don't know why I don't want to put up with your behind. You dance in the street over this victory, not even knowing what's really going on. This is what's going on. Let me go back to that verdict. Second degree murder. So there was no first degree murder in his victory. Something that will give you life in prison. Now, of course, something that probably give you the death penalty. I'm not for the death penalty. Not at all. You know, you reap what you sow. Somebody put you in jail and, you know, let me tell you something. They don't like cops in jail. So 9 times out of 10, he's not going to spend no time in general population. He's probably going to be in solitary confinement. He's probably going to be in some bougie area where other crooked cops having the time of their life. That's why he ain't have no stress on his face. Second degree unintentional murder, maximum of 40 years in prison. How are you going to give this guy, convict him on a unintentional murder? That was clearly intentional. That's what he got convicted on. Unintentional murder. Third degree, just like a burn. Third degree burn. Murder. So he did get charged for murder in the third degree, maximum of 25 years. So you're looking at 40 for one count, 25 for another count. All this stuff is and don't you dare think you're gonna get all of them stacked on top of each other. They ain't gonna do cops like that, but they'll do you like that. You got 10 years for this, 20 years of this, 30 years of this, for you're gonna be in jail for 60 years. No, these are each counts. And they run side by side. So the most he can get is 40 years, but we're going to talk about how that he'll never see the 40 years. Maximum 25 years for third degree murder. This guy should have been charged for murder in the first degree. He knew what he was doing. Second degree manslaughter. Really? He couldn't even get first degree manslaughter. They gave him second degree manslaughter. So there's no first degree murder, no first degree unintentional murder, no first degree manslaughter. Everything is second and third. But y'all celebrating in the streets. Happy, going to get a drink. Taking your mask off, risking COVID to get a drink. Now, shout out to my boy, Rick. Rick, if you hear me, Rick, I appreciate you getting this information for me. In Minnesota, you can be charged for this, but you'll never see this. Under the guidelines, a person with no criminal history would receive a presumptive sentence of 12 and a half years. So Derek Chauvin, who have no previous criminal history, because if he did, he wouldn't be a cop, right? Even though a lot of cops are criminals. Not all. And let me make this disclaimer. We have some good cops. I worked with a lot of cops on different programs. You got a lot of cops that really work in the community. Community policing is real big here in New York City. You got cops that care about their community, cops that have a real deep in the, cops that be begging to get positions in their community. So you got some cops who actually know that their job is to serve and protect, not policing. Not law enforcement. I don't know who came up with that term law enforcement, but Tucker Carlson just loved that word, law enforcement. No, they're police officers. They fall under the title of law enforcement, but they're police officers. If they see a law is broken, they're to enforce the law, but the reason they enforce the law is to provide service and protection for the community. Derek Chauvin did neither. George Floyd wasn't trying to hurt nobody. So there's no reason to serve and protect the community from him. I'm going to talk about the old bigot and the people who sit there and celebrate and smile because they get a chance to go on the show. We'll deal with that later. Again, a person with no criminal history will receive a presumptive sentence of 12 and a half years. So even though he's looking at 40, even though he's looking at 25, even though he's looking at 10, the maximum he can do is 12 and a half for each murder charge. Don't matter whether it's first, second, or third degree. And a presumptive sentence of 4 years for manslaughter. So that manslaughter charge that he got, they give him 10 years, he's only going to do 4 for that. For the rest of these charges, he's going to do 12. And if he does good behavior and they're going to put him in a position where he ain't going to be challenged, then nobody's going to try. The chance of him dying in prison ain't going to happen. Nobody's going to harm him because they're going to separate him. He's going to be able to do good time real easy, and they probably get him off in 7 or 8 years. Who knows? But let me keep going over this thing. The guidelines allow for a range slightly above and below those presumptive sentence, which is up to the judge discretion. But in this case, prosecutors are seeking a sentence that goes above the guideline range called the upward departure. They cited several aggravated factors, including Floyd was particularly vulnerable, that Chauvin was a uniformed officer acting in a position of authority, and that his crime was witnessed by multiple children, including a 9-year-old girl who testified that watching the restraint made her sad and kind of mad. After the verdict, Attorney General Keith Ellison and his office would be seeking a fair and just sentence. He would not be specific, but said, "We believe there are aggravating factors and that the sentence should exceed the sentencing guidelines." Regardless of the final sentence, in Minnesota, defendants typically serve 2/3 of their penalty in prison, with the rest on parole. So I will predict this for you. Dude will get the maximum of 12. No matter what he's been charged. He got 40, 25, 10 years in prison, right? This is what they handed down to him. But because of the way things are in Minnesota, this is first offense. He'll do at most 12 and a half. He will not be put in general population where somebody can kill him, because believe me, there's going to be some people going to want to take this dude out. He's going to be separated, probably be in the boys club area of the prison system with the rest of the crooked cops. They'll be protected the whole time because they're going to protect their boys. Not say he'll do half of the 12 if he have good behavior. So this guy can be out of jail in about 6 to 7 years. Is that a celebration? No, because we lucked up because of people like Keith Ellison. Now, normally, I have my issues with Keith Ellison as a politician sometimes, but the fact of the matter is, because of people like Keith Ellison, they pushed this thing and they pushed this trial, and they made the right decision. It's not strong enough, but the conviction is valid. Now, look, understand this. There's a term. When white supremacists use their tools, when they finish using them, they break them. That's Derek Chauvin. He was a tool of white supremacy, and they broke him. They will serve him up on the altar to cover up for the rest of the kids. Now, some cops gonna go. I mean, they gonna go on. They know that it's highly likely that the next 2, 3, 4 killings. By the way, let me put this up. This is also from a boy, Rick. They know that the next few cases, 9 times out of 10, ain't gonna go to favor of Derek Chauvin, but it should. Like Kim Potter. Don't you dare think that just because she's a woman and she's a cop and she's probably got a husband and some kids, she ain't no white supremacist either, that she's not a racist bigot, either. Look, I love my country. I love the freedom that we have here. I just don't like the fact that we don't have true equal rights. There's a difference between civil rights and equal rights. We don't have equal rights in this country. We never have. And until we start clamping down on doing whatever we can to make sure we have equal rights in this country, things are going to get worse. I don't care what job you got. You should not get clemency or protection when you kill somebody, when you murder somebody, when you beat somebody up, when you rape somebody. You should get the same penalty as any other human being. Why? Because at the end of the day, you take that badge off or whatever you got on, you are a human being. If you're in the army and you're going around killing little kids for fun, your butt need to be not just thrown out of the military, you need to be locked up for the rest of your life. People going to the military because they figure, hey, I can kill people and it'll be part of my job, buddy. That's how people go into the police department. I can kill people. I mean, I can shoot somebody. That's my job. I'll see you film. I'd shoot you, buddy. I can shoot you. That's my job, shoot you. I don't care if you got a wrench and you're trying to fix your mama doorbell and you turn around. I see the wrench, I'm shooting you. I don't care if you is eating Skittles and drinking a soda. Look like 2 guns to me. I'm going to kill you. Now, we're going to talk about Benjamin Crump another day. But we got people that is champion George Floyd. People that are trying to call George Floyd their hero. Case in point, Nancy Pelosi.
Nancy Pelosi to make some remarks.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. As you probably know, there are many honors that are afforded to a member of Congress, and certainly many more to the Speaker of the House. But nothing surpasses the honor of being with the Black Caucus today when we have seen a step in the right direction for justice.
Now, we got people like Barbara Lee and all these people standing up there, members of the CBC, the Do Nothing Congressional Black Caucus, that really don't really put themselves on the line for true change. They're not willing to risk their careers. Their careers are more important than you. They figure we can do things step by step if we protect our position. We ain't gonna go out and do the extreme and call out our own people in our own party as well as the other party for the sake of, for you. CBC, some people call the Coon Black Caucus. What have they done for you lately, black people? And then here they are trying to give Nancy Pelosi cover, not understanding Nancy is a wealthy megalomaniac that don't care about you. Her money and her husband's money is more important than you. She's so high up on the totem pole of wealth that she will never identify with the George Floyds or the George Floyd daughter. She's only doing this because midterms coming up and we need to lock in that black vote. And we got to make sure everybody know that we care more about Black Lives Matter than any Republican or any independent or anything, when it's not about that, lady. Well, let's listen to some of the foolishness you say, because, you know, from the Kente Claw dressing up in African gear and kneeling down, that was one of the stupidest mess that they ever did. They make themselves look like a fool, and people thinking you're celebrating that. Celebrating that for what? That don't mean they identify with you. That don't mean that they understand your struggle. That don't mean nothing. What they doing all that because they are panderers. And we got a panda bear in Nancy Pelosi. She'll pander to you to keep you locked down, dug down in the party. And what better way to show the black community as well as any other community that we care about you than us coming together and having a speech right after the verdict of George Floyd. Joe Biden had a speech. I'm going to go over that one of these videos. The nerves of him, dude. If you the one put this stuff in place where these fools can do that. You gave them qualified immunity in the crime bill for roughing up people and beating them up just to try to find the drug dealers. Qualified immunity. They can pick you up, beat you up, rough you up, and throw you in the river and leave you. All for the sake of information, all for the sake of keeping you in line. You're a drug dealer out here, you sell drugs, they're not going to throw you in jail. They may need you, but they'll beat you up, take your money. And get some information out you and leave you hanging dry. And then if you end up dying as a result of it, and it leads to you get qualified immunity. But let's listen to what she got to say.
Done. Earlier, around 3 o'clock, I spoke to the family to say to them, thank you. God bless you for your grace and your dignity, for the model that you are, for appealing for justice in the most dignified way. They are in search of justice then, and now they see this giant step. But as our colleagues have said, it's not over. They complimented the Congressional Black Caucus for its role that it has played in all of this. They're eager to see Karen Bass's George Floyd Justice and Policing Act passed and signed by the president into law. All of them. Well, Felonis has become a star.
That bill has been out. We've been over that bill before. We'll go over it again. That bill is so freaking weak. Karen Bass is so freaking weak. Oh, yeah, I'm talking to you, Karen Bass. I see you back there with your black mask on. That bill is so freaking weak. We're going to go over it again because some people have forgotten about that bill. They're using this opportunity to seem like we're going to pass this bill to bring honor to George Floyd. They couldn't even freaking pass a 15-hour minimum wage, and they had the authority to do it. They couldn't even sit there and pass. They're in a position right now where they can really make things happen. Joe Biden has the power to really put political pressure on people like Joe Manchin and other people like that. But they're so timid. We got our position. We got our power. Now, don't expect us to work for you. We'll look like we're going to go the bat for you, but I ain't picking up no bat. It's too heavy. But I'll tell you, I'm going to pick up the bat and play ball when I'm really not. I don't want to go outside. So they're using this, the disgust, man. They're using this moment of this verdict to come together as a people. The black, why are you with the Black Caucus? Where are the rest of your colleagues? Why they're not out there, Nancy? Where your white buddies at? Where's your Republican friends at? Because you got a bunch of them. They don't hate you. Folks, this is WWE all over. They don't hate each other. They know and love each other. They really call colleagues. They have dinner together. They have parties and go visit each other. Democrats visit Republican Party. Republicans go to Democratic Party. They all go to these bougie affairs and stuff like that. But y'all think that they don't want to have, that they on your side when they're really two birds on two wings on the same bird. They had nothing to do with you. All they want is your vote. And this is part of pandering to get your vote. Midterms is coming. They already messed up on the $15 hour minimum wage and a couple of other things that's going to cause a lot of independents to go the way of the Republicans now. Because all the things that Joe Biden said he was going to do, he is not doing. And he coming up with lame excuses not doing it. And Joe Manchin is the fall guy. And then you got Bernie Sanders looking like a doggone, what I supposed to do? I support Joe. My good friend Joe. He gave me this position. He gave me this budget position. I'm in charge of budget. Folks was talking about, man, wouldn't it be great for Bernie Sanders to have that position? Man, things can really change. What have changed? Oh, the childhood poverty, that's temporary. That ain't gonna last. It's gonna go right back to the same mess. What have changed? Folks, I'm so sick and tired of all this bull crap playing around, games playing around with these politicians. And y'all sitting up there edging them on. The politicians need to be so fearful of you, not in a scared that you're going to hurt them, but so fearful of your power that they won't have no career without you. You can suck all the power out of them.
Rodney and Terrence, the brothers, Bridget is their sister. We all know Ketta, who's a force of nature within the family. But Gianna, his daughter, Gianna to see.
The number one rule in how to win friends and influence people is talk more about the other person than you. And the name of the other person is the sweetest sound to their ears. Make it about them and you can win them as a friend. Don't mean you're going to do nothing for them as a friend. It's just that I played you such like a fiddle that now I'm connected to you. How to win friends, influence people. Dale Carnegie, you're my friend now. But let's see how far in my friendship I'm going to push for you. I need you to be on my side to make sure all my congressional leaders continue to stay in office, because if we don't stay in office, you don't got a chance in hell to get this bill done. We ain't got a chance in hell to get this bill done anyway, whether we keep you in office or not, because you don't want to get it done. The only way it's going to get done is when you threaten to take away their power. Let me keep going.
This justice on behalf of her father His name synonymous with justice and dignity and grace and prayerfulness. And prayerfulness. So we thank God. We thank Jesus because we were praying to him all along. Right, God?
Now, the reason she mentioned Jesus is because black people love Jesus. Jesus is our guy. Jesus is our Lord and Savior. Jesus our guy. I'm surprised she ain't say we praise black Jesus. Ain't that right? Ain't that right? Ain't that right? I can't say John Lewis because he's gone. Ain't that right? Somebody. We praise black Jesus. Oh, hallelujah. Man, if you don't sit your behind down, you panderer.
We thank God. They are people of faith. They conveyed that to me on the phone, but they've conveyed it all along. So as it'll be 8 weeks, according to what the judge said on this, before we know the sentencing, but that's part of the justice of it all as well. Mr. Clyburn has been a solid, steady.
Lord, she gonna mention the Negro Whisperer, one of the biggest white supremacist tools. Doggone Uncle Tom to the T. Stephen from TheGigot. Clyburn. Clyburn, who gave up all the Jews. Clyburn and Bernie Sanders have been two of the same. Demanding their so-called constituents to support Joe Biden without asking for nothing in return. Oh, I'm gonna get you those votes. Don't worry about that, boss. Don't worry about that, Joe. I'm gonna get you those votes. I don't want to hear that. I mean, they all. Man, I done had that talk. I already done talked to one boy about that. No black agenda. Cut the check, man. I ain't cutting jack. Cut you. You don't get up out of my face. I'll cut you. I'll cut you over Joe Biden. I'll cut you. Every one of you Negroes over Joe Biden. Cause we know Joe know us. He know you're a doggone fool. He ain't know we're a doggone fool. He know that, look, it's either me or him, me or Trump. What the hell you got to lose? What the heaven you got to lose? Trump gonna kill all you black people. But when you one just said in that meeting at the black church, said they're gonna put you all back in chains, it's the same thing they did it then. Now understanding, bruh, your whole policies are nothing but change to the black community. Nancy Pelosi.
Force for all of us here, because this was a traumatic. My little granddaughter, who just turned 12, she said, "Why is it taking so long?" It didn't take that long, but we all saw it on TV. We saw it happen, and thank God.
Did you tell them to take that long? Because there are things called clemency, there's things called qualified immunity, and these police officers are going to try to do whatever can. They're going to work with the police unions or whatever. They're probably going to throw in strikes or whatever. They're going to try to put more fear in us, not having them around, than justice putting fear in dealing with them. And by the way, the person that we've been pushing to get elected, he the one that allowed all this stuff to happen. Is part of his 1993 crime bill, still in effect to this day. Still give police officers that opportunity to do overreach to this very day, to abuse to this very day, Did you tell your granddaughter that? No.
The jury validated what we saw. So again, thank you, George Floyd, for
like I told you folks, the jury didn't validate what we saw. The jury made a decision to prosecute on what we saw, but nothing was validated. First degree murder should have been validated, and second degree and third degree could at least went to those other cops that were allowing that happen. Let me tell you something. Bad company spoil good character. That's the scripture in the Bible. When you got somebody that's bad company and you hanging around them, it spoils you. Do you realize in the hood, you can go in the store, you can steal a whole bunch of time. You could be my homeboy. We can be sitting in the car. You can say, Rob, I'm going to the store, pick up a couple things. And he can pick up a couple things. He can threaten. He could have picked up, stole a couple things, went in there and put the gun up to the clerk face, asked for the money, and got in the car all casual and said, let's go. You know, when the police stop, all of y'all going to jail. You're going to get the same crime he's getting because they call that assisting in the crime. So no, Nancy, stop. Justice have not been served, people. That is a conviction. That is not justice. Convictions don't equal justice. Justice is when you get just as much as the same criminal punishment as we do. That is what justice means. But unfortunately, justice means it's just us, natural human citizens, not police officers that end up getting the brunt of. If we did the same thing they did to somebody else, we would be fine. If the electric chair was still a thing, or the gas chamber. No. The only people can kill people and get off is just us, the cops. Now again, majority of cops are not murdering pigs and thugs. I know a lot of them. I was married to one. It is a stressful job. It's hard. It ain't easy. And they need to reinforce psychological evaluation and deep studies and continuous psychological evaluation. They need to be debriefed every day. That's the whole purpose of debrief. When an incident happened, you need to go through trauma and all that kind of stuff, like that situation happened in this case. You need to go through training. You need to understand things that you can and cannot do. And you got to let them know, if you do it, this is going to happen. We're not going to let you slide. You're going to get punished. You're going to get punished as a civilian. You will not get qualified immunity. Justice haven't been served.
Sacrificing your life for justice, for being there to call out to your mom. How heartbreaking was that? Call out for your mom. I can't.
This is so disgusting. This lady disgusts me. Black people love her. Why? Only because they're a Democrat, because she haven't done nothing for them. She ain't done nothing for none of you black people. But stand there and talk a good game. And edge Trump on with a little smirky and quirky things. That stuff don't faze me. That's childish stuff. You're a child, Trump a child. Stop doing child stuff. Get stuff done for the people.
Can't breathe, but because of you and because of thousands, millions of people around the world who came out for justice, your name will always be synonymous with justice. And now we have to make sure justice prevails in the sentencing. But that's its own procedure. Our responsibility is to make sure that Karen Bass, who has been so open to justice with the bill that she put together, she wrote. And
now understand this, folks. There's multiple bills. Now, I'm not a fan of Black Lives Matter, the organization, but they got their own bill. There's a lot of people from the grassroots have their own bill, certain things that they're pushing to be law. The Black Grass Movement have their own bill. The Black First Movement know exactly what we need to do about these ignorant law enforcement officers. I'm talking about the ignorant one, not Folks, there's ignorance in everywhere you go. Ignorant people on your job don't mean everybody on job is ignorant. And people in your family don't mean everybody in your family. It's ignorance everywhere, and you got ignorant cops. Bunch of punks scared. Man, fixing on. Man, I told you a story. The guy in there trying to fix his mama doorbell. He turned around with the screwdriver and they killed him. It's ignorant. I'm almost finished.
And now trying to find areas of agreement in the Senate. Because unless we can change the law, this will be an episode. If we change the law, we're going down a different path.
It's always been an episode. It's going to continue to be an episode because you ain't going to push jack. You're talking the game. Karen Bass got her bill. Y'all ain't going to push it. Joe Biden's is a Democrat Republican. He ain't going to push it. I mean, the only reason he'll probably go bodyguard hard is right when he need to be elected again. Dude is too old to try to be elected. He need to sit his butt down. After these 4 years and let somebody else run, and sure shouldn't be no Kamala Harris. You mean Nina Turner somebody, and it shouldn't be no Kamala Harris. And it shouldn't be Bernie Sanders. You guys too old. We don't need no more older black men or older white men running. You need some new blood in there. And it shouldn't be no AOC because she's done gone the wrong route. She's nothing but a runner mouther also.
All together. So thank you, Madam Chair Beatty, for your great leadership in all of this, for being a steady voice, to keeping some of us who just calling constantly if did you hear anything or whatever in a place where we could follow the lead of the family. Grace, dignity, prayerfulness, but having a rage for justice, which is what we all have. With that, I yield back to the distinguished chair of the Congressional Black Caucus. And let's hear it for the Congressional Black Caucus. That's an applause line.
Thank you.
Wow. What have they done, Nancy? What have they done? Coming up with bills don't mean you're doing anything. What have the Black Caucus done? What have they done for you lately? What have they done for anybody? What have Congress done, let alone the Black Caucus? What have the House and Senate done concerning police brutality, police overreach? What have they done? They're in power now. And they're not going to maximize the moment while they got it because they sure going to lose it in 2022. They're going to lose it. Because they're not getting things done aggressively for the people. There's things that people in general, white, black, it don't matter what color they are, Republican, Democrat, Independent, don't matter what color they are. There's about 5 things they all agree and all in majority of, and they can't even push that, and they got the power, yet they want to act like they ain't got no power, but still gonna say, we give us more power, keep us in. Surely we can't do it unless we stay in power. Folks, you need to do it now because you got the power. I'm watching what you do right now. And right now, I don't see you doing nothing. So don't come talk to me about Karen Bass, George Floyd bill. You ain't going to do nothing, just like you ain't do nothing with the $15 an hour when you had a chance to put it in the last COVID bill. You made every excuses in the world, parliamentarian, all that kind of bull crap. You had the power to do that. And all Kamala Harris had to do was say, look, fool you on that parliamentarian. I'm pushing this. Just in case I don't get elected in the next 4 years, at least I have this to my legacy as vice president, that I went bodyguard hard to get $15 an hour. That I went bodyguard hard to get in front of Joe Biden's face and say, Joe, you say you gave Barack Obama advice when you was vice president, then I'm going to give you advice when you're vice president. You need to kill that crime bill and redo it from the bottom up. Do that. All trying to protect each other, trying to cover up for each other. That ain't flying no more. It ain't going to fly no more. So, folks, stop falling for these panderers. People that talk a good game, Bernie Sanders, AOC, hurt me sometimes that I see Jamal Bowman trying to creep up in there because he represents my district. Stop falling for these panderings. You could pander your behind down to the Panhandler area of the United States, South Florida. You can be a panhandler. I ain't buying for it. Your talk is talk. I don't want to hear you. I'm tired of Bernie Sanders posting all this crap up on Facebook. I'm going to talk about that. Tired of AOC going on all these networks, talking all that talk, but when it's time for her to do something, she won't do nothing. I'm tired of the Republicans talking all this, doing all this. The one thing about the Republicans, when they set out to do something, which are always something that's stupid, dumb, and harm and reverse the country, they sure do it. They don't just talk. They do. We can't get these numbnuts on the other side of the aisle to do the same thing. These people willing to go all out. They're willing to lose their position to get something done on behalf of Trump supporters and the right. They ain't gonna do that over here on the left. So folks, stop falling. Stop the Nancy Pelosi and all that. Oh, that's just a bunch of talk, man. Get out here. Come on, black people. Come on, let's say something good so we can get people to support us for the next election. Because everything somebody do in Congress, in the House of Representatives, in the Senate, running for office is for the next election. They ain't doing it because they just feel good and they love the country and love the people of this country and want to do right by them and give them the best. Oh, boy. Now, talking about that, I got a problem with people who are kind of getting. Let me put it this way: Tucker Carlson's, what they say, a clock is right at least twice a day. Folks, when somebody do right, I give them credit. But just because somebody says something right, that may be right, they don't get credit. Because anybody can say something and not do. Anybody can agree with you. And what I'm starting to find out right now is Tucker Carlson is starting to use the left to make him look good. So he can get some lefties looking at his show. So he'll bring on a bunch of people from the left, which is great. Democrats bring on Republicans, might well bring on some lefties. And don't get me wrong, I see lefties going, Kyle Kalinske, Jimmy doing all them. They go on, and the topic of the day is this. But I never see them really push back on Tucker about some other things. See, this is why I met Tucker Carlson. Okay, Jill Stein had the Fox News. Let Jill Stein come and talk with Steve. I forgot his name. Anyway, I forgot the dude's name. But she came by, and I didn't, and I had to go to work because it was taking too long for them to set up. I sat in the green room, the whole thing. And I got a chance to meet Tucker Carlson, and he was hoping I was on a black Republican. Dude, I'm not a Republican or a Democrat. Both of them trash. I ain't taking up for none of them. That's the reason why I'm here to hear from Jill Stein. Because I don't support parties. I support what people going to do for the country. And then I see all these libertarians running over there. Can we get your autograph? I mean, just kissing his behind and stuff like that. Folks, I'm not going to ever kiss Tucker Carlson behind. I'm not going to give him glorious props just because he may say something right. I'm more concerned about what you do, not what you say. And I see Tucker Carlson oftentimes doing stupid stuff like this.
Hey, Kevin, thanks so much for coming on tonight. Who's going to become a cop going forward, do you think?
Well, I think people will still become police officers. This really is a learning experience for everyone. Let's face it, what we saw in that video was pure savagery. I mean, the documentary evidence showed the police officer putting his knee on the perpetrator's neck.
First of all, Tucker Carlson asks a dumb question. Let me go back to that. That's important. Why would you ask this dumb question?
Who's going to become a cop?
So you're trying to say, Tucker Carlson, just because a cop get convicted of a crime, people should not ever want to become a cop. Nobody said being a cop was a horrible thing. We need somebody to serve and protect. It's what our tax dollars are for. It's a good, decent career if you got the mental capacity to do it. You have to have a strong mental capacity. You can't be a loose cannon. You can't be a person that have anger management. You can't be a bigot. You can't be a racist. You can't be that as a police officer. You can't use that excuse to take out your aggression on everybody who want to become a cop. Folks, I was going to become a police officer one time. When I got out of college, I ended up getting a girl pregnant down in Virginia, my ex-wife. Just to let you know, my ex-wife. But at the time, we were in our 20s. She was 19, I was 23 years old. I think 24 years old. All right. And I said, when I went down there to help her with the baby, I said, well, this is a nice little cute town. I want to they need some police officers. So I was interested in becoming a cop because being a cop in that town is gravy. Not that much crime, not that much issue. You ride around, make sure everybody's protected, safe, nobody breaking nobody's house, serving and protecting. The family, the town know you by the name, and everything's good. It's like Mayberry. I saw a window get broken into. I called the police on an old school payphone. We didn't even have, I had a pager. That's about it. They arrested me. They took me in. And I told the dude, man, I wanted to be a cop here. I really did. Because, man, it looked like a pretty cool thing to do, be a cop here. But you ruined it for me. You ruined it. Because you're prejudged. I'm the one called you fools. Go look at the payphone. It was that payphone, track the payphone, I called you. But because I was a black man with jeans and t-shirts on, I was a suspect. So there's people going to always want to be a police officer. There's a lot of people who want to be a police officer for the simple reason that it's a good career. It pays good money. It's a good benefit. You can get a good retirement off it. And heck, in New York, man, they pay a heck of a money to be a cop. Start off by 68,000 in 3 years to 4 years, you're almost at 100,000. So Tucker, and you live here in New York, you right here in Fox Studio every day. You know it's a good career. The problem is, are you good for that good career? Asking a dumb question like that.
Going forward, do you think?
Well, I think people will still become police officers. This really is a learning experience for everyone. Let's face it, what we saw in that video was pure savagery. I mean,
Now, you're going to see Tucker Carlson whole expression change because he thought he brought this guy up here that's going to agree with his topic of the day and ride his horse. He's not really open to understand this guy. But you bring on some liberals or you bring on some lefties or you bring on some progressives, he'll pretend to be open to this guy when he really not. Like I said, I don't care about what you say. I don't care whether you agree with me or not. The fact is, what are you going to do after you agree with me? Because you could be using me to bring more of your people over to my show. And folks, for progressives who do go on the Jimmy Dore show, I'm not shaming you for going on the show. I just want you to understand what he could be doing and what it looked like he's doing. He's using you to gain more viewers. And fine, like I said, a clock is right twice a day. Tucker are right on some things, but will he do something right? Will he do something right? Sure, he may agree with you on some things. Sure, he may support you on certain things, but the best support is action, baby. Will you go out there with me, Tucker Carlson, to a rent strike? Will you go out there with me on a general strike? Do you support that? When are you going to start going up against these polices that's just losing their mind? When the last time you said something negative about how police are trained or positive? When have you taken the side of the person who were being abused by the police and said that was just abuse, that was just wrong? Why is the cops always right, Tucker, in your eye? Let me keep going.
Documentary evidence showed the police officer putting his knee on the perpetrator's neck while he was rear cuffed and his stomach was on the ground, causing positional asphyxia. So what I'd like to see, Tucker, is I'd like to see more training for police. I'd like to see the police trained as EMTs, like in the fire department. For example, in the New York City Fire Department, we have firefighters that are EMTs.
Now, understand this. When a fire goes down, usually the EMTs follow the fire department. When a fire happens, the EMT follow the fire department because you expect somebody to be hurt. I remember back in the day when you called the police, man, it seemed like everybody came to town. He's right. There need to be mental health specialists in the police department. In New York, we got school police. We got a police for everything. The people who 911, they're police officers. The people who do the school safety guard, they're not your neighborhood safety people with the little orange things on with the badge commissioned by the county. They're actually police officers. The parking department, police department. 911, police department. They need to be EMTs to go out on every location because you don't know what you're dealing with. Especially when, if you see on the address that this person who live at this address have had mental issues before, have had panic issues and anxiety issues before, because clearly George Floyd had panic and anxiety issues. And we don't know what it came from. But it was there. My ex-wife, who was a cop, she was involved with 9/11. She had panic and anxiety issues. So she would go into panic and anxiety mode and sometimes freeze up and wouldn't move for an hour. So he's absolutely right. These cops shouldn't be just going on the scene and not having somebody, not being able to pull up the location and see if that location has a history. And if you know it's a history of violence, you don't try to go over there with guns blazing. What has caused the violence? Do this person have mental issues? I told you about the young boy, white boy. His folks been trying to get him help to deal with his situation. He needed mental help. They was trying to commit him, and I think he's at an age where they can't do it alone. They have to have his permission, kind of like the Norman Bates thing. And he had an episode. Now the police who normally patrols that area know this kid. They've had this issue before. They're used to this kid. They know exactly how to handle this situation. And here comes a cop who don't have nothing to do with this situation. He comes in and he sees the other two cops doing what they normally do with this kid to get him to calm down. He's figured, I need to protect my fellow officers. 9 times 10, he ain't know. And he killed the guy in front of his whole entire family and the police officer. And the police officer was like, dude, why did you do that? We had this. We know this guy. We deal with this guy all the time. We got a history. So what this guy is saying is absolutely right. Look at Tucker Carlson with his bigot racist face, how he goes sour.
But who gets to the scene first in most of these situations? It's the police. So In reviewing the tape, what I noticed was that the police officer removed the subject, Mr. Floyd, from his vehicle, and he was able to handcuff him.
He won't even, I guarantee you, he hate the fact that the cops is calling him Mr. Floyd. He probably think that's some left-wing, un-American, unpatriotic thing to address the so-called criminal, which there's no case to prove that he was a criminal. I mean, somebody give you $20. You know that just because you got a fake 20 or your 20 is not real don't mean you came up with it. Money gets shuffled up all the time. You don't know what money gets. Man, people be passing out. Even the store owner be passing out the 20. So just because somebody gave somebody a fake 20 don't mean he print that from his house and in his basement with his machines and all that kind. Don't mean that. Somebody come up to the grocery store. I worked in retail. Man, I would get fake, find out, just before they came out with markers, come to find out money was coming in fake and money was going out fake. You can get the money out the freaking ATM machine and you might find a fake 20 in there. Don't mean you printed it. It's just money got lost up and mixed in with the rest of the money. Can't call that man a criminal. That man was not convicted or tried under those circumstances for you to consider him a criminal. But Tucker Carlson would rather see George Floyd as a criminal, just like a lot of racist right-wingers with no evidence. He passed a phony $20 bill. Man, obviously you live in the town where not that many people live. Man, New York phony money go back and forth all freaking day and you won't even know it unless somebody put a marker on that bad boy. And you say, man, I used to mark these bills, man. And I tell him, that's not real. Come on now. Come on. Bro, I can't take that. Give me 2 10s. I ain't called the police. Coulda. Man, give me 2 real 10s. I'm gonna let you slide. I ain't calling no police. I coulda.
And then he was able to seat him on the ground. And he was handcuffed. At that point, they should have left him there. There was no reason to move him. And obviously, Mr. Floyd was emotionally disturbed. And at that point, you may want to say, hey, Mr. Floyd, let me take your pulse. Things of this nature. And we have to change the way we deal with people. Now,
absolutely. When you see a man is saying, I can't breathe, I'm having anxiety issues, all your other officers had to do was pick up a radio and call an EMT. I'm quite sure they probably saw his record and find out this ain't the first time he had these issues. Realize who you're dealing with so you can know how to deal with that person so you don't make a dumb, foolish decision.
I've used I've used force on literally over 500 people in my 21-year career in the New York City Department of Correction and in the New York City Sheriff's Department. I've never had anybody go unconscious. And, that was clearly an excessive, unjustified use of force. I think the verdict was just. I think we had documentary evidence, we had testimonial evidence, and, it was an open and shut case. But moving forward, what we need to do, in my opinion.
Now, let me pause there for a second. Right there, anybody will panic. You've been asked to come out, get out your car, which you don't have to get out your car, folks. You don't have to get out your car. I've been marketing a service called Legal Shield, and I teach people. We have this thing called, we end up naming the company out there, but this one particular part of the service was called Legal Shield, where you got 24-hour protection for emergency situations. And now that you got an app that directly connects you to an attorney, and they're working on doing it via video, but it's always been that way where before you do anything, you can already have an attorney on the phone. And you can shut up and let your attorney do all the talking. And it helps. I've been called from, do you know how being yelled at by cops to being called Mr. Brown. The attorney is there to tell you what you have a right to do and what you have a right to not do. George Floyd, if, of course they suspect him of a crime, so once they have a suspicion of a crime, they can have more of a reach. But the moment somebody pull a gun out you and you coming out the car, of course you're going to have a panic issue. But Tucker Carlson don't seem to think about that. George Floyd got both his hands up. But of course he's nervous. Why? Because cops kill black people too much. And you never know if it's going to be your time, especially when they don't pull the gun out on you. Yeah, this bigot, this cocky, arrogant bigot that think he's all that because he got his own primetime show, this upper elitist, racist, and folks getting happy to go on his show and think it's a badge of honor. And like I said, I'm not mad at you going on the show if you go on the show to declare truth and righteousness. Oh yeah, I go on your show, bro. But I'm coming there to declare truth and righteousness, and we can have a debate on it. But I'm not coming up there. I'm not coming up here to agree with you. I already know you, dude. But if you see stuff like that, I wouldn't even want this stuff right here. Make me don't even ever want to be on the Tucker Carlson show. Well, we need to be on the show to try to win Republicans over. I'm not interested in trying to win Republicans over to my point of view, or races over to my point of view. The bottom line is you're going to either lean over to either what I say is right or what I say is wrong. Either you're going to agree with it or disagree with it. And the best way for you to agree with it is to act on what you believe that you agree with. Talk about it more on your show. But clearly, Tucker Carlson, he's no friend of black people. He's no friend of poor people. He's your natural run-of-the-mill, extreme right-winger. I wouldn't even call him a conservative. He's an extremist. And this proves it. This is one. I got a couple more I got to do.
We need to have.
How about enforce the law? Okay, do we need to do that? So hold on, wait. Slow down. Do we enforce the law? Like, let's say people are going through the windows in Macy's and the cops are just standing there.
Nobody said idiot. See, folks, people think just because you got a show, just because you're rich, doesn't mean your brain don't freeze. George Floyd's situation ain't that situation, Tucker Carlson. It's not. Martin Luther King said, paraphrasing, if you see people rioting, if it's true from the grassroots, it's because they're frustrated so much that there is nothing else to do. How else can I prove? Because I've protested peacefully and you're still cracking our head. I protested peacefully and you're still freezing us with water cannons. I protested peacefully and you still bringing out your tanks and shooting rubber bullets and stuff like that. I'm doing it peacefully. I protested peacefully and you took your police car and ran over me because you feared that I was going to do something and I really wasn't. I protested peacefully and you still don't hear our cry. So of course they're going to attack Capitol. Now, let's go back to what this fool said, because somebody breaking into Macy's, let me tell you something, if you break into the store and protest, you do understand you committed a crime. It's called breaking and entering. And yes, you should be prosecuted, and you got to be willing to be prosecuted. I ask that you don't go around hurting nobody. That's more important than anything. Property can be rebuilt. Macy's can be rebuilt. The merchandise can be rebuilt. They got insurance. And all this fool cares about is some corporate con job store, then the people will be impressed in the streets. And that's why I don't like them and never will.
Do they resign?
No.
Because obviously their honor is being violated, but they're not doing anything about it. When do they start doing something about it and protecting everyone?
Their honor being violated. So you're trying to say cops are to be honored. Now, I believe you should honor authority if that authority is being used properly. You don't honor anything that's of authority. I know some of you people, especially Christian people that listen to me, you should, no, you don't. Satan has a level of authority, Christian people. In your Bible, it says Satan have a level of authority. Do you honor him? You don't honor evil people. Here's Tucker Carlson talking about more about honoring the police instead of police honoring the people in the street who gave them that job. It is the people in the streets who are paying the taxes. Sure, police officers paying taxes too, but the ratio of people outside of the police department outweighs the people inside the police department. The people who you're cracking up upside the head and oppressing are the people who pay your bills. Those are the people you work for. You made an oath to serve and protect, not enforce the law, Tucker Carlson. And to serve and protect, let's say, and to enforce the law. To enforce the law. That don't mean you can enforce the law any kind of way you think you can, by any means necessary. No, Tucker.
Everyone else, not just George Floyd.
No. What I want people to protect. I want the police to protect people, but when specifically what we're dealing with a person in custody who was handcuffed and he was subdued.
Right.
At that point, we have to take a different tact. And one of the things I just want to suggest,
Well,
Tucker,
I'm totally willing to believe that. Yep.
Yeah.
This is how he get y'all so snatched up. There's a scripture. I know I'm always quoting scripture to y'all. Small anther calms down wrath. Just because a person say, I agree with you, don't mean they agree with you. A lot of times people say, I agree with you because they don't want to deal with tension. They look at the person who they could disagree with and see if they have the ability to win over them. And when I say the ability to win, I'm not talking about win the argument per psychology, but per aggressive in debate. Tucker Carlson know he can't win an aggressive debate with Jimmy Dore or Cal Kalinske or even this cop. Now watch what he does to this cop, because he know he ain't gonna win. This is a former police officer whom he said should be honored, and he totally dishonored this guy.
The U.S. Department of Justice came out with a position paper on positional asphyxia and sudden death. It was published in 1995 and again in 1998. I think every law enforcement officer should read that. It should be read at roll calls. Because what it does, it talks about the physiology of a struggle. Now, like I said, Mr. Floyd was brought under control. What should have happened at that point is EMS should have been summoned, and he should have been placed in an ambulance. And a supervisor should have been called to the scene. I just think that it was excessive, and it shouldn't happen. And what I'd like to say,
the guy who did it looks like he's going to spend the rest of his life in prison. So I'm kind of more worried about the rest of the country, which.
The guy who did it ain't going to spend the rest of his life in prison. He'll probably do 12 years at the max, according to Minnesota. And like I said, and he probably, based on ability to have a good record while in jail, he'll probably be out in 6. But he's trying to blow this guy off. He cared more about a police officer than the dead citizen. And many who died just like him, and many more that may die to come.
Thanks to police inaction, in case you haven't noticed, is like boarded up. So that's more my concern. But I appreciate you coming on.
Thanks to police action who was boarded up, he started laughing and say, that's my major concern. Tucker Carlson's major concern is the police is always right, never wrong. Tucker Carlson's main concern is we need to have these people to oppress these people. And folks, I'm sorry to say, you got too many cops that abuse their position and they use it as a badge of authority or a badge of oppression. And Tucker Carlson will never go against that. He cares more about the police officer, whether he do right or wrong, versus the citizen, whether he do right or wrong. Now, folks, understand this. I am for police department. I do believe that there should be defunding the police in certain areas. I am not with that Black Lives Matter that we need to eradicate police department. I'm not there. The police department has a purpose. Their number one purpose is to serve and protect. That's the number one purpose. And the number one purpose is to serve to protect all people. All people. Serve and protect. Even if you have to put your life on the line, your job is to serve me and protect me. Problem we have is we got too many of our protectors who are victimizing us. And we got people like that who endorses this. Yeah, we got people who get excited about coming on this freaking show.
Ed Gavin, thank you. Nope, done.
Thank you. Nope, done. So he's going to get his last word in because he know he can't debate this guy. He know this guy's right. He's ashamed that this guy did not be like the other guy, the Latino guy that be on with Geraldo Rivero, the other guy, former cop, got his own show. Don't even let me get on that guy. Nope, that's it. I don't want you saying not a doggone other thing because you're gonna disagree with me. And buddy, I can't have that. Folks, understand this. And I'm not done with Tucker Carlson. Again, the philosophy says the clock is what, right twice a time? Twice a day? There's a lot of things that I can be right on, but that don't mean I do right. You can be right about a certain thing. That doesn't mean you're a person that does right. I'm more concerned about the right that you do than the right that you agree with or the right that you say. And Tucker Carlson don't do the right thing. He talk a good game just like Bernie, just like AOC. He'll agree with you, and you probably get excited. See, he agree with me. He agree with me. Don't mean nothing. I can agree with you on some things. Don't mean I like you. Don't mean I'm your friend. I could be using you for my own purpose through my agreements. It's more important in what you do that's right than what you say that's right. And Tucker Carlson do wrong. I will continue to say Tucker Carlson is a pathological lying, bigot, racist. The only thing he don't have is allegations like the other fools on Fox News. Don't fall for this, guys. Tucker Carlson is not your friend, especially black people. Black people, you know Tucker Carlson is not your friend. But you got some people who say they're a friend of ours, but they just love Tucker Carlson. I say when Tucker Carlson is right, I would say he's right on this issue, but that don't mean that I agree with him. Let me tell you something. I've said it before. Just because I agree with you don't mean I'm for you. Don't mean I'm a fan. Don't mean I'm a supporter. I can agree with you, but that don't mean I'm down with you. Another thing about Tucker Carlson, and let's go to this one. He also went on this show and talked about this.
America went insane over the weekend. That's barely an overstatement. People in their 80s who have lived in the U.S. all their lives said they'd never seen anything like it. Ask an 80-year-old. This was without precedent in the modern era. A small group of highly aggressive, emotionally charged activists took over our culture. They forced the entire country to obey their will. It all happened so fast and with such...
Highly aggressive. What do you think? Activists supposed to be timid? Folks, you would never...
to obey their will.
Folks, you
it all
would...
happened so fast.
Folks, you would never get anything being soft. You have to be aggressive. You have to let it be known that you're not playing games. You got to let it be known. Now, I'm not saying go out there and harm people and break people's windows and break into buildings and things like that. There's ways you can do. There's other things you can do. And if you're doing that, look, that's a crime. You're going to go to jail. And understand that if you're willing to commit the crime, you got to be willing to do the time. And there's some times when going to jail is well worth it. I remember the guy, I think his name Mohammed Batiste or whatever. The guy need to send a message to Egypt. The guy set himself on fire, man. And that sparked something in the people in Egypt. Likewise with the guy in Tiananmen Square who walked up in front of the tank. A lot of people died that day. But they had enough. They was willing to risk their lives to get something done. And when it come to protests, and you cannot be mammy-pammy soft and tiptoe. Sometimes you do whatever you can by peace, but there's going to be some people just going to be, nah, no justice, no peace. Tucker Carlson in his biggest self, man.
And with such ferocity that virtually no one resisted it. People seemed bewildered, even stunned by what was happening. Statements of fact and opinion that were entirely within the bounds of reasonable conversation just last Sunday, suddenly, a week later, were enough to get you fired from your job, and a number of people were fired. An awful lot happened this weekend. For the next hour, we want to assess the aftermath of it all, suggest what it may mean, and where this country is likely to go from here. But first, we want to give you a sense of what happened. We're going to begin tonight in Minneapolis. That's where the Black Lives Matter riots first began almost 2 weeks ago. As the violence there raged, some Democratic leaders in Minneapolis came to a conclusion that didn't, on the surface anyway, make intuitive sense. What their city really needs, they decided, is less law enforcement. In fact, no law enforcement. So they began to demand that Minneapolis, quote, defund the police. Now, the first thing you notice about this idea is how unpopular with the public it is. Almost nobody in the country supports it. But
now, let me stop this bigot right there before you go any further. The activists used the term defund the police. And he left the definition of defunding the police too broad, where people can assume that they know exactly what it is. Defund the police mean defund the police, mean taking funding from the police department. Defund the police don't mean we need less police officers. Defund the police don't mean we need less enforcement. But Tucker Carlson assumed that is what it means. Defund the police just mean the money that's coming from the federal government that causes our police department to become military units. You need to take money out of that. That stuff been going on since the 90s. Matter of fact, that stuff was part of Joe Biden's crime bill. Joe Biden to this day believe in funding the police. Matter of fact, he believe in increasing the funding for police, but you guys put him in the office. Likewise with Trump. Trump is pro-police. I don't know who's more pro-police, Trump or Biden. And like I said before, Police job, we need police officers on the streets, but they need to know their job is to serve and protect us, not serve and protect yourself. We pay you good money to serve and protect us. And yeah, we do want you to enforce the law. So if there is a law that is being broken, it is your job to enforce that. But you don't do it by any way, any force available, or any means necessary. Just because you have the ability to enforce the law don't mean you can do it anyway, anyhow, anytime, any day. There need to be guidelines to that. Defunding the police means some of that money need to go to other parts of the police department, not just to beat police officers, not to squad car officers, not to, no, we need to take money in, like you said in the last video, put in some mental health department in the police department, put in EMTs in the police department. We need to change the way we think about policing. I don't even want to use that reimagining crap. We need to overhaul and redo the structure again. Just like we need to do with that freaking crime bill. Now, I'm not a fan of Black Lives Matter, but he's right about this, what I'm about to play. Now, remember I say, just because he's right don't mean I'm on your side, because you could be a bigot, a racist. You can hate my people. Act like you don't hate my people, but I know you hate my people. And you don't even, if three of us died today, you wouldn't even be moved to tears. Three of your colleagues at Fox News that's black die today, you only be moved for their white spouses, because most of them got white spouses. But what he says here in this is true. But again, like I said, a clock is twice, once a day. Right, once a day.
The activists, undeterred, kept pushing the idea, and within days, pressure mounted on the mayor of Minneapolis, Jacob Frey, to get rid of his city's police department. This was a problem for Frey. Frey has greater...
That was a lie, Tucker Carlson. That was a lie. Now, folks, just because one person picks up a microphone and says something ignoramus and stupid doesn't mean the whole crowd believe that the police department should be dismantled, that we shouldn't have no more police officer. We understand if you allow that to happen, it'll be the freaking wild, wild west. You need to have something in place to keep law and order in place. We need something to maintain the order and to maintain that laws be obeyed. We cannot allow something disorderly conduct and disorderly thinking and no law come into your city, because it puts everybody in danger. And most black people were not for that. We just believe that you need to take some of that funding and use it properly. Defund the police.
Political aspirations, and this was the last conversation he wanted to have. So Frey did his best to change the subject with a mix of manic enthusiasm and feigned empathy. Frey is well practiced in those areas. Here he is a couple of years ago with his preferred brand of community outreach. It didn't work.
Well, at least he Frey know that he cannot win no election without a black vote. So of course, you're gonna go out there and pander to get black votes, just like black people and white people on both sides do. You're going to have a fish fry, you're going to have some barbecue, and you're going to have your truck out there saying, vote for me. And instead of sitting there actually telling people what you're going to do for them or hearing from the people what they need so you can make it happen to get them to vote for you over and over again, you go do stupid stuff like that. You start pandering, looking like an idiot. And black folks, you think that's okay. That's cool. He's out there dancing with us. Mean he's one of us. Don't mean nothing like that. Don't mean nothing.
Then or now? Activists wanted actual answers, so Mayor Fry tried step 2 in the process, groveling.
I've been coming to grips with my own brokenness in this situation, my own failures, my own shortcomings, and I know there needs to be deep-seated structural reform.
Again, good try, brokenness. It sounds like a sermon. Give a raise to the staffer who scripted.
Maybe you need to do that, Tucker Carlson. Maybe you need to at least act like you got some sympathy and empathy for what's going on the streets. See, folks, Tucker Carlson, I think, got about 2 houses. All of them are gated communities where nobody's going to come in there. And if you do, it may be your last time you ever come somewhere. See, that's the America he lives in. He don't understand the cries of the street and the struggles on the streets, and he don't even want to know. So when somebody of an authority that decides that he want to show empathy and sympathy with you, he looking at him like, you done lost your doggone mind. Now, look, Jacob Fry sitting up there pandering again, and Tucker's right. Like I said, you can be right. Don't mean that you got our best interests at heart. And yet he did whatever he could, and they told him to make the walk of shame. I showed the video before. And because they mentioned, look, he's going to be reelected. He's going to be up for another election. We have the ability to get him kicked out of office. Well, it's always that way, lady. See, this is the pro-LGBT Black Lives Matter, which means they're all lives matter. Which Tucker should be okay with that because they, in the Republican Party, always preach all lives matters, but they sure will separate that blue lives matter from all lives matter. Oh, they're a different deal. And I'm here saying, well, I mean, you don't represent me, and you don't represent most of the community, black community, you don't represent the black roots. And just because you're a part of Black Lives Matter, the organization, don't mean that you are the leader of the movement. You're not. And that's why the lady didn't like the fact that Ice Cube was doing his own thing and that he need to submit to them and go with their leadership. No, you ain't the only answer. You ain't the only way, the truth, and the light. Now, to fast forward this, because I can't go into this whole thing because it's too long.
Not what Jacob Fry did. Fry slunk away like a child caught doing something filthy. The most telling moment, though, came just before that, when the woman in sunglasses threatened to defeat the mayor in the next election. What does that tell you? It tells you that Black Lives Matter is, in fact, a political party, maybe the strongest political party in the United States as of tonight. Its members believe they can reshape this country.
No, it's not the biggest in the United States. Now, look, Black Lives Matter have succumbed to a political party. Just like the alt-right, Tucker Carlson, which you're a proud member of, have submitted to a political party. So stick your chest in and stop being a hypocrite in this situation. Now, I agree with him. Black Lives Matter have become a huge black division in the Democratic Party. A lot of the activists are selling out for Cadillacs and soda pop and TV shows and TV commercials, which is a shame. And Tucker Carlson, which he could care less, got to understand the Black Lives Movement and Black Lives Matter are not the same thing. And it take people like me and people like other people in black media and I mean, to let it be known that they're not the same. They don't represent you. They just took the name and decided to build an organization out of it. And because of that, they got corporate funding and corporate money because money want to go behind Black Lives Matter. And Asian Lives Matter is going to start popping up. Then you got Gay Lives Matter, and Black Lives Matter is the top of the pyramid, so to speak. And you're going to get other levels under that pyramid, like Asian Lives Matter, Gay Lives Matter, and all that kind of stuff going to be under that division. Then if you're doing that, you're no longer Black Lives Matter. And they have been co-opted by the Democratic Party, just like the alt-right have been co-opted by the Republican Party, just like the Proud Boys have been co-opted by the Republican Party. I guarantee you, it's 9-1 that people in the doggone Proud Boys vote Republican. I mean, vote Democrat. 9-1. And Candace Owens' organization and Charlie Kirk's organization, guarantee it. All of those are arms of the Republican Party. And Black Lives Matter, and I hate to agree with Tucker in this area, he's right. They have become an arm of the Democratic Party. And they're going to use Black Lives Matter to try to continue to keep people on their side, just like people like Tucker Carlson. And they got news media heads. These news media heads are arms of those particular departments in the political parties. Tucker Carlson is a arm tool of the racist, white supremacist organizations in the Republican Party. Then you got people who do the same way. It's the same in the Democratic Party.
Country, and so far, they're proving to be right. You can always tell which political movements are ascendant, which are headed up, by how straightforward their members and sympathizers are about what they believe. Strong people say what they think out loud. They have no reason not to. They're not embarrassed of their beliefs. They think they're winning. With that in mind, watch this clip from CNN this morning. This is the president of the Minneapolis City Council, Lisa Bender. Bender explains that the desire for safety, the desire not to, for example, have your home invaded by violent criminals, is in fact a sign of racism.
Do you understand that the word dismantle or police-free also makes some people nervous? For instance, what if in the middle of the night my home is broken into?
Where in the world did we get dismantle the police? See, this is why I am such a keen person when it comes to communication and terminology and language, even in contracts. If you're going to say defund the police, or you're going to say dismantle an apartment, police department, you got to say where. We need to go into the police department and dismantle this and dismantle that and that and that. Can't just say dismantle the police department, because you leave it too vague for other people to take that and make their own definition of what it is. You need to give them the definition of what it is so they can't take it back. See, the key to winning an election is you define the person, you paint the picture of who the person you're running against better than he can paint the picture of you. You take the narrative and you begin to stroke who this person is in the eyes of the people. You do a good job of that, you'll win. And when you leave things so vague like this, you are not painting the picture to the rest of society what this really means. Dismantle the police, defund the police. Look, like I said, I have nothing against saying dismantle or defund, but you got to put the definition. And when I mean dismantle, I mean this. When I mean defund, I mean this, and this, because you left the two open for them to assume. And here you got CNN doing right-wing Republican talking points. And let's listen to what this lady got to say.
Who do I call?
Yes, I mean, I hear that loud and clear from a lot of my neighbors. And I know, and myself too, and I know that comes from a place of privilege, because for those of us for whom the system is working, I think we need to step back and imagine what it would feel like to already live in that reality, where calling the police may mean more harm is done.
Hello.
Now, I don't understand what that lady is talking about. I don't. Let me go back to that, because you know I try to be fair and try to get understanding. Let's go back to what this lady said.
In the middle of the night, my home.
Minneapolis City Council Lisa Bender. Bender explains that the desire for safety, the desire not to, for example, have your home invaded by violent criminals, is in fact a sign of racism.
Do you understand that the word dismantle or police free also makes some people nervous? For instance, what if?
Again, where did the word police free come from? Nobody's just saying this stuff, man. Nobody is saying police free. They made that stuff up. Dismantle the police. The talking heads of CNN made that up because the Democratic Party want to use this as a tool to shut black people up. And black people, you're going to use this word as an activist word. You got to have a definition on what it means instead of just leaving it out there. I need to chicken up this neighborhood. Don't mean I want to chicken up, take chickens and put it all over the neighborhood. It could mean anything. Tell me what chicken up this neighborhood mean. You give me a term, but no definition for the term. Because it may not mean the original definition. Like the term that Ron DeSantis used, monkey up. Now, we assume that monkey up really mean that he was calling the man a monkey, and he probably was with his racist self. But people use monkey up a lot of time for a lot of other things. Don't monkey this up.
In the middle of the night, my home is broken into. Who do I call?
Lady, you call the freaking police. Nobody's talking about getting rid of the police. Not even those fools in Black Lives Matter talking about that. They just running their mouth and don't even realize what they're saying, just like most people in America, including myself. Sometimes I run my mouth and don't even understand what I just said. And if you see a person doing that, you need to stop and correct that person. Nobody's talking about police free, get rid of police. So if somebody breaking into my house, what should I do? Well, they passing laws, shoot them. That's what they're doing in Texas. Shoot you if you walk through my yard, boy. I'm just taking the shortcut to the house. Boy, you in my yard. Pow. Who's using these terms? Lady, stop with the foolishness. This is not what black people are talking about. Black people are not against the police department. The black people are against the police department using abuse and overreach. Black people are tired of cops coming into our neighborhood that are not looking like us. Not saying that we need all black cops in our neighborhoods. We don't. We need multicolored because not everybody in our neighborhoods are black. But we do need people from our community that knows us, that know how to handle us, just like need people that specialize in mental health to be in the police department to deal with people who have mental health. And that's what defunding the police and dismantling the police supposed to mean, that we need to defund in this area and fund over here in this area. That we need to dismantle in this area and mantle up here in this area.
Yes, I mean, I hear that loud and clear from a lot of my neighbors. And I know, and myself too, and I know that that comes from a place of privilege, because for those of us for...
What come from a place of privilege? Who is this lady? She want to run against Fry? You don't even know what you're talking about. If you win an election, man, the idiots are the people who put you in the office. It's a privilege. A white person get their house broken into, they got a right to call the police, just like an Asian, just like a black. There is no color when it comes to ignorant people who just don't want to go out there and work a regular job and pay for their own stuff.
For whom the system is working, I think we need to step back and imagine what it would feel like to already live in that reality. It's like she didn't even hear her question. Where calling the police may mean more harm is done.
Hello, police.
Calling the police mean more hurt is done. So basically, I believe what she's saying, if you call the police about somebody breaking into my window, they're not just going to arrest you. You got to be careful on what can happen when they do call. They could be killed. The bottom line is, you break into my house, you better hope that I call the police. Because you break into my house, I'm taking you out myself. And look at Tucker's face right there. Let me hear him finish this thing. I'm not going through all of it.
Armed men are breaking into my home. Help! Shut up, racist! Click!
Now, nobody said that was racist. Tucker Carlson pulling this out of the crap of his behind. Because a racist fear being called a racist. I've been over this many a times. A racist who think they're not a racist when they really are, but they're afraid, they get upset when the light is shined on them and you can see how racist they really are. Like this guy. Nobody said you calling the police could be a racist thing. No, we're just saying, okay, you need to call the police, but the police need to understand what they're supposed to do when they get there. They don't supposed to kill this guy. Because we don't know why this guy's doing this stupid stuff. He probably got kids. He could be on drugs. He probably ain't got no job. People do stupid things because they're desperate. They shouldn't die for it unless they risk killing you. And now you got to defend yourself. But George Floyd wasn't in a position where he was trying to kill nobody. Guys, I can't go through this whole thing. Let me just finish this and we're done for the day. The whole point of me going through these videos with Tucker Carlson is Tucker Carlson is a political hack. He's a racist. He's a bigot. He's a pathological liar. He come up with his own talking points sometimes because nobody said anything that he's talking about. And the clock is right twice a day. But don't mean he supports you. He don't mean he supports your views. And don't mean he's going to ever come to that because he agree with you in a couple of areas. And you can go on this show 10, 20, 30 times. That ain't going to change. At the end of the day, he have you on the show because he's trying to get your people to take a look at you on the show, which brings light to him. My thing is, if you go on the show, challenge him. I'm not here to agree with you because I can agree with you off the show, Tucker. I'm not here to support your show. I got something I want to say, and I need to say it on your show. When you going to stop defending police, and when you going to start dealing with people? Yeah, they're good cops, but there are a lot of bad cops too. Some situations are not breaking the law, but you think it is. Why do you care more about Target and their windows being busted up than the police running over some protesters? What is wrong with you, dude? I want to see more of that coming from these commentators from YouTube or from Facebook or from media in general when you go on the show. Challenge the stuff like this foolishness that he's talking. Because this is pure foolishness. Nobody. Then again, I tend to be a little patient and understand that some people just say stuff because they just not thinking straight. They got caught up in the moment. We need police officers. We need some kind of law enforcement. We need a serve and protect unit in the area. Me, I prefer that we primarily protect our own communities. See, I went to the Asian area of Queens, and they got the Asian Protection Society. Back in the day, we had the Black Panthers. As soon as black people talk about protecting themselves, oh God, oh wow, the extremists, oh, the NIC, the NFC, they're not blinking around coalition. Brothers just trying to protect their neighborhoods and let it be known. You come in our neighborhood, whether you're a cop or not, you come out here to hurt us, we going to defend ourselves. Asians say that. I don't care if you're a cop or not, which it rarely happens. A cop don't go into an Asian neighborhood doing what they do in our neighborhood. But they'll let you know if you're going to come harm our people in the community, I don't care who you are. We're going to protect the people in the community, which is supposed to happen. So I am for community policing. I am for police development, police training, sympathy training, mental training. I'm for the police having an EMT service. I'm for the police having a police officers that are trained to deal with mental health. All they are psychologists or mental health specialists. They just happen to have a badge on, and no gun. You gotta have a mechanism like that, or everybody gonna turn into the freaking Joker. Folks, stop sitting up here patting Tucker Carlson on the back, because he allowed progressives to come on this show. That don't impress me. That's no different from them allowing the mainstream media allowing Republicans to come on this show. What did they do? And don't get me wrong, there's a lot of progressives that I watch and I listen to that actually go on the show. But I'm telling you, look, when you go on the show, why don't you challenge them sometime in some area? Don't let them control it. And don't let them think, well, in order for you to be on my show, I control the conversation. Then I don't need to be on your show, bruh. It need to be equal. I got something to say. You got something to say. You got a topic. I may not agree with you on that topic, and I may go a certain direction with this topic. Don't stop me, man. Let's talk about this. If you're going to be on the platform, let's have a discussion. And not just your discussion. I got something I want to talk about too. Anyway, this is Robert Brown with the Bobby Brown Show. I've been on here too long. I want to thank you for being on the show. Make sure you like, subscribe, and share the videos here. Make sure you go and make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. If you want to donate to the efforts of Bob TV, you know how it goes. You know how it goes. I don't even think. You do it through the PayPal. But got a lot more stuff I'm going to talk about soon. But hey, I appreciate you, and I thank you. And I thank you for, again, being on the Bobby Brown Show. And I'm trying to think of a catchphrase. Just remember this. Just remember this. Make a mark on this world that cannot be erased. And if you haven't made it yet, you can start today. And good night and good morning. I love you.
The Bob TV Network presents
Wrong one.